Hello guys, and welcome back to another class of our course about the complete introduction to VBA with Microsoft Excel. So in the past few classes we talked about plenty of things. For example, in the past class we talked about how to move and how to basically move on Excel and work with ranges and all this kind of stuff. And we basically talked about a lot of things that you guys can do with VBA. So what I want to cover today that we didn't cover as well, and I think it's pretty important to cover, it's basically the use of colors for for the purpose of creating your applications or your macros. So let's say you guys want to add some colors to your macro or to your cell. How exactly you can do this, and basically what type of code you will need to write down. So yes, you can of course use macros, but for the purpose of this course we are going to write it in the form of a code. So what I propose you guys to do is pretty simple. I want to practice also what we have learned. So basically we are going to create a basic absolute function, an absolute macro that will work on a cell, and then we're going to create a macro that is relative reference, and basically it will be applied everywhere. And also what I want to add some basic things such as bold, italic, and all this stuff like we always do, because I want to use the with element in this course. So you'll see we're gonna divide our code in two parts. All right, so let's start. So as always, first thing that you guys will need to do is simply open up your Visual Basics. And as always, you go and insert and create yourself a module for this macro. So as always, when it's all done, what you guys want to do right now is create your procedure. So it's pretty important to create our procedure, because if we don't have one, we will not be able to work, to create our macro. So let's call it color, because we're going to create colors. All right, amazing. Right now, what we are going to do is, pretty simple. I want to take just a cell, so basically take a simple cell. And in this cell, I want to add the color. So basically, I want to make the whole cell colorful. So like this, for example. And I want to make the text inside of my cell colorful as well. So here in this case, it's yellow and red. And what we're going to do in this class, we're going to talk about, basically how you can do this. But not only this, we're going to talk about two ways that you guys can write down, write colors in Microsoft Excel with the use of VBA, because there is more than one way, because there is a lot of different colors. So pretty simple. First thing that we want to do is basically select the range in which we want to work. So in this case, we want to work, let's say we want to work on the range that is here. So D6, it's E7, let's say D6. So we'll write down range, and our range will be D6. And what we want to do exactly with this range, we want to select it at first. So we will select this range at first. So when it's all done, what we want to do, we want to write down something inside of this range. So we're going to use the selection function, and we're going to integrate in it the formula R1C1. So in this case, it's possible to write it down in two ways, because I want to add some colors inside of it. So we can write down selection, then use the with tool. So basically with and with, to not rewrite selection two times. But in this case, we will write it down this way. So we'll rewrite it down two times. In the second part, we're going to use the with tool. So pretty simple. What we need to do at first, we need to select the formula that we are going to work with. And in this case, it's gonna be R1C1, the formula that is used to add text or functions inside of our cell. So until now, you guys should know it, but if you don't, it's not a big deal. You can check out the past few classes. So formula R1C1. And what exactly we want to do? we want to add a test. So we'll write down test. All right, so when it's all done, it's time to add some colors to our test. Well, to our cell right there. So basically you can you can add two types of color. You can color the whole cell, and for this, in this case, you will use the function interior, so interior color, or you can simply color the text that is inside of the cell. So in this case, you will simply use dot font and color. Then, not only this, there is more than one way that you guys can write down colors on Microsoft Excel with the use of VBA. You can write it down as the code of color, so basically by using the code of color, or simply by calling your color. So let's say you want to call the blue, you will write down VB blue. Once again, that's another example. So let's try it out. So the first thing that we'll do, we'll simply use the code of color for our first example. So in this case, we will write down selection dot interior, because we are going to work with interior, dot color. And in this case, then you simply write down equal, and you want to write down the code of your color. So I want to write down a random number. So basically, I don't know what I can write. Here we go. So you can write down a random number. I suggest you to write down big numbers like this one. So somewhere, a number that is in the millions, because this is where the colors are. So if we run our, well, just the first part of our code, as you can see, this is the color that we get. So basically, it's red, so the text is red. We'll just put it black. So here we go. This is the color that we get. Here we go. If we want to change our color, we can do it. So just change the number. So you can, instead of, you can write down something else and rerun it. And as you can see, the color will change. So how exactly you can know the code of your color? Well, it's pretty simple. What I suggest you guys to do is simply go on Google and write it down, and you can find out all the different types of colors, or it's gonna be somewhere right there. So basically here you will have all the different types of colors that are possible, which is once again pretty cool. So those are all the colors that exist. All right, so this is what we have done until now. So what is the next step? So the next step for all this is pretty simple. We want to change the color of our text. So how exactly we will do this? So pretty simple. In this case, the function will be a little bit more different. So we are going to write down, well, instead of writing down interior color, we'll just write down selection.color. But what I want to do as well is I want to change my text and put it bold and put it italic as well. So what I will do, I will use the width element. And in this case, what the width element will allow me to do is it will allow me to not rewrite selection like I did right there more than once. So I will just write down selection. So we'll start with width. And in this case, what I want to use is selection. And what I want to select font. So we'll work with the font that is right there. And then I can write what exactly I want to work with. So in this case, let's say I want to work with the color at first. So I want to change the color. So I'll start by changing the color. All right, so right now what we'll do, we are going to change the color in a way that, well, in another way. So instead of writing down the code of the color, we're simply going to use the second way that I told you that it's possible to work with colors. We're going to write down VB and then the color that we want. So in this case, we want to have red. So let's say we want to use red. So finally, just write and width. There we go. Great. So if we run our function, what's going to happen is that inside of this case, our text will become red. So if we run it, as you can see, guys, the text became red. And now let's say we want to add more features. Well, since we work with the width that is right there, we can add more features. So in this case, dot color, we can add dot bold, we can add dot italic, and it's important to write down true in both of them if you want them to work. There we go. All right, now we can run everything to see what it looks like. So as you can see, your text became bold and it became in italic, and we also changed the color of our text, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So right now you know how to basically change the colors of your text. All right, let's say right now we want to, well, be able to work with this function, but not on this range. We can just delete the range. And now what's gonna happen? We simply go somewhere. And when we run our function, it will automatically generate everything. So basically, instead of having a range where this will work, it will work everywhere. So basically, if we're on this cell and we run our function, it's going to work. If we go on another cell, it's gonna work as well. So as you can see right now, simply by deleting the range, what we did is we have made our function not absolute, but relative. Well, we created a relative reference to our function, which is pretty cool. So as you can see, this is how you can change the colors. So once again, those are the basics. You can change colors of a huge amount of cells at once. You can change colors of just one cell, of two cells, of three cells. You decide it. And right now you know how to implement this, this element inside of your Excel VBA programming. So that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class.